And welcome back to Fighting with Friends. It's your boy, Brother Guy. I'm back again with One Championship News Show. I'm not alone tonight. I do have the one and only, the host with the most. It is Brother 80. What's happening?
All good, bro. All good. Musa intro there, 30 seconds.
We
Raindrops
get.
dropped off.
Oh, is that what you were doing? I thought it was split fingers. No, split fingers are like this. Um,
Yeah.
no, it looks like we got put on hold there by StreamYard, so we had to rock the embedded videos, unfortunately. But we are here. We are here. So, like I said, we're doing a One Championship news show, AD. So I'm gonna kick us right off from X, where the hype or the big news coming out of One Championship right now is actually quite drama heavy, rather than latest fight news or whatever. Like it's more like some drama happening between One Championship and K-1. So I'm gonna bring up a story, a statement made by which I think is the CEO of K-1. He had a little statement to make about One Championship. Since One Championship has been quite open with their financial statements, they've been saying, if you had done articles on this exact segment where we spoke about One Championship's financial predicaments, right? So if you don't know anything about it, you can go watch it back. But this is what Carlos Kikuta, that's his name, this is what he had to say. So, article about One. This is a summarized version of what he had said. It was all translated from Japanese to English. So I'm going to go forward and say, okay, on the brink of collapse, referring to One Championship now, 90 million in the red, $530 million in accumulated losses, athletes and sponsors fleeing, zero matches broadcast, deals crumbling, investors regretful. Now, life support is on lifetime. Perseverance is strength. So before I move on to the next one, because there's quite a bit of back and forth between this guy, Carlos Kikuta, and former athletes from K1, specifically speaking about Takeru. But before we go to Takeru's response, just give me your thoughts on this, KD. Is this a shot taken from Kikuta? Why is your statement made? What do you make of it?
Well, I mean, obviously they are rivals. They are competing for the same viewership a lot of the time. So I think, it might just be a bit of friendly banter, but yeah, the
Mm.
situation is quite serious as far as One Championship goes. Because I saw they just lost the Amazon deal as well, Amazon Prime. They're no
Yes.
longer going to be streaming on Amazon Prime. So yeah, it's not looking good, and it is a little concerning for the organization for me. But
Mm.
yeah, Chowdhury knows what he's doing. He's come this far, so I don't imagine he's gonna go down without a fight. And just hoping for the
Yes.
best because yeah, if we lose one championship, then that would be a big blow for combat sports fans all over the world. Maybe not the American market because, as it shows, the American market isn't really buying into it. Hence why they're losing the deal with Amazon Prime.
Mm.
But overall, just hoping that Chowdhury can do some kind of bailout here and make sure that one championship can continue for a long time into the future.
Facts, facts. I completely agree. It's how do I say? It's a bit of a strange time for them to be going through that. But I do think that you hit it on the nail, Nate, by talking about the friendly banter. I think One Championship is moving into the direction where they might not be including MMA fighters anymore. They might still keep the grappling, but they are trying to prioritize the kickboxing and Muay Thai heavy cards, right? And if that's what they're going to predominantly do, then they are going to be a massive rival for someone like K1 who predominantly does kickboxing. So it'll be direct competitor. Whereas in the way the blueprint of what One Championship is doing right now, I don't think it's that much of a competitor towards K1 because One Championship's got the grappling and they got the MMA, and that they could argue that point. Um, but I think there's a shot's been taken because you're highlighting the things that's going wrong for the company. To what end? Like, what's the end result here? Why we taking shots? So
Yeah.
Takeru, if people don't know, obviously the three division champion in K1, he's legendary when it comes to the conversation of K1. But now he's employed by One Championship, and he had a response to Carlos Kikuta. I'm gonna bring it up on screen quickly and read it out. And we can talk about it. So this is courtesy of our guy Tetsuya. Takeru also made this exact post on his X account. It's just a translated version that you're seeing on screen now in English. So this is what Takeru had to say. This is it's just a list of what he pointed out. So even if you fight 3 matches in a tournament, you only get paid for the 1 match. Medical expenses like hospitalization or surgery due to the fights are paid by the fighters.
Sure.
Hotel costs before matches are also paid by the fighters. If you
Sure.
quit during your contact period, you pay a penalty several times the amount of all your fight money as so far. And the last one is even after the contract ends, you can't sign with another organization for 6 months. So that's like your limbo period before that. Um, he did say other stuff, but he didn't list what else other than the fact that he doesn't feel that one championship. He didn't like that K1 did this. He was like, you could have found a different way to talk about this. You could have maybe done it behind closed doors. You didn't have to take shots at each other. And you can go see that those kind of words on Takeru's page, where he actually makes mention of that by saying that we don't have to fight each other. We can actually work together because we're all promoters of the same thing. It's combat sports. You know what I mean? Let's try and make sure that the fighters are all taken care of because they're your money makers. So anyway, what's your thoughts on that list of things that look to be wrong about K1?
Bruh, this is I don't know if you can even call this a contract, bruh. This is like a slave trade fucking agreement, bruh. Because, I mean, first of all, bruh, these are professional fighters. So how are you not going to
Yes.
cover medical expenses, bruh? That's
Yeah.
ridiculous for me. And then also just, I mean, hotel costs. And then like quitting, you have to pay several times the amount you'd have won. And then there's still a kind of turnaround period where you're not allowed to fight for any other organizations. I don't know,
Mm,
bruh. That
mm,
seems like a very shitty contract to me, bruh. So I'm surprised more fighters aren't speaking out about it. But at the same
absolutely.
time, K1 is such a massive organization, and there aren't many other organizations, especially for Japanese fighters, to go to. So that's probably why you don't see more speaking out. But I'm glad that Takeru has come out publicly and spoken about this, because hopefully this will result in better conditions for the current fighters and also future fighters at K1. So fair play to
Right.
Takeru here. Very happy about that. But yo, this is a terrible contract. But I wouldn't even take that contract if it was offered to me personally. Bro.
Yo, you look
I'm
so
in
shocked,
dire
bro.
straits here.
You
It's
were like, "Huh,
terrible,
is
bro.
this for real?"
Nah, that's a slave contract. That no
Yeah,
way. That's
I'm pretty
insane.
surprised. But you know,
I'm,
now there
I'm
was a statement. Sorry to interrupt you. There was a statement that Chowdhury made not too long ago, where he was trying to initiate a contact with one of the one champion. Excuse me, one of the is it bantamweight or featherweight kickboxing champion for K1. He's a Thai guy. He's ranked number one in the overall kickboxing standings at the moment in the world. And they were talking back and forth, and apparently he's actually not getting paid that much. And he's the champion, and he's actually been wiping out everybody. So on a massive win streak. And so Chowdhury was like, you know what? Come to one, and we'll pay you 10 times what you're getting paid at now. So for Chowdhury to use a number, you could have said I could have paid you double the amount. But to say 10x is probably means that the pay is probably quite low at K1. He's willing to go 10x of this man's salary. Um,
yeah.
so maybe K1 is in a little bit of the shambles, and maybe perhaps there needs to be some things needs to change in terms of the organization, because Takeru clearly he's a legend of that organization, right? He was one of the biggest stars of that organization of K1. So it actually goes a lot against him to make a statement like this, which is kind of highlighting that he's not talking out of his arse here. You know what I mean? He's kind of highlighting something that's pretty real. I mean, he was a 3 division champion for no reason. So I'm quickly going to bring up the response from Carlos Kikuta to Takeru. To Takeru's response. Let me just get it up here. There we go. And this is what he had to say. I don't know who Takanotsu Notsume. I don't know if he's referring to Takeru by saying that. I don't know who that athlete is. I sincerely take, because what he's doing is responding to Takeru. See, Carlos, this is again courtesy of Tetsuya, and you can find this all on Carlos Kikuta's X page. So this is what he had to say. I sincerely take to heart your candid feedback from the perspective of someone with first-hand experience. So he's obviously referring to Takeru here, right? Your statements regarding the contract terms and treatment you experienced during the K1 era highlight a reality that is really brought to light. That's what you were kind of saying right now. People don't talk about this. And it is a fact that many fighters face similar situations. I deeply respect the courage and the sense of responsibility you showed in making this public. I mean, it takes a lot for someone to do it, because he's putting his name at risk. Takeru's putting his whole career at risk by making that statement, because he didn't have to. Chowdhury could have
Yeah.
said something about it. Takeru didn't have to say anything about this. The fact that you are now receiving fair recognition and support in one is a source of hope for this industry, and I believe service as a valuable benchmark serves as a valuable benchmark for other organizations. Which is what you're trying to say, is that if athletes can talk out about the experiences that they have when they're under contract, it might just change a lot about how the businesses will be run. Because look, in 2025, I'm blown away that I'm hearing stuff like fighters are still being underpaid in 2025, bro. And
Yeah, yeah,
not medical bills being covered and all those things. Like, this is your commodity. You're supposed to be covering those things of them. You know what I mean?
yeah,
In the
yeah,
UFC, when fighters fight, immediately when the fight is finished, they have to go straight to medical. They can't leave the building. They have to sit in medical for however long they have to go for those checkups. You know what
yeah,
I'm saying? So I
yeah.
find it very, very strange that that's the reality. But I mean, it's a good point, and it sounds like Carlos Kikuta is kind of like, okay, you know what? You're right. You're right. Something needs to change here. So I don't know. What's your thoughts on that statement? Is he showing face, or is this like a genuine response from Carlos?
Yeah, I mean, just another point there is we don't really know how much these fighters are getting paid, Brian. With a contract like that,
Mm.
I don't imagine it's much. So, as a
Mm.
fighter, at the end of the day, you're gonna have to make a decision between taking a purse home with you or going to sit in the medical room, basically, and having yourself checked out. And if you have to make a decision like that, it's very shitty, bro, for a fighter. But I did also hear stories about, I think, I can't remember who was talking about it. There was some American, I think it was an MMA fighter.
Mm.
It might have been, anyway, I don't remember, but he's from one championship and he was also talking about that flights aren't covered for them to go out to, you know what I'm talking about? You remember
Wasn't
that?
it? Was that Lisa Tenpao?
It might have been Ascertain Power,
The,
yeah.
in,
Yeah, yeah,
the
yeah, yeah, yeah,
interview
yeah.
did it an
I think
interview with
so.
what's that? It was a post-fight
Exactly.
interview, but
Yeah, yeah,
backstage.
yeah, exactly,
Yes,
exactly.
yes,
And he spoke about flights not being covered.
yeah,
So it's not a good look for both organizations here, bruh. But yeah, I'm very happy that Carlos Kuta has come out, Kikuta, excuse me, has come out
mm,
and kind of addressed that he recognizes that this is a problem and he's not kind of acting
yeah.
hostilely towards Takeru for coming out because I mean, I think at the end of the day, he still recognizes that Takeru is a major asset, and you don't want to make an enemy of somebody who's going to bring money to you and your
That's
organization. You know what I mean? So,
that's
I think he's doing the right thing here, but at the same time, I do feel like it's a little bit of a PR stunt, and he's trying to be diplomatic to
what I'm
maintain a good
saying.
relationship with Takeru.
There we
Because the
go.
man is a cash cow, bro. I mean, we from South Africa and we gonna watch any fight that Takeda takes place in. So that just lets you know about this man's star power that can extend all the way to Africa, bro.
Yeah,
So
yeah.
yeah, it's a little bit of both for me. But I think at the end of the day, BG actions speak louder than words, and we'll only
There we
really
go.
know where this guy stands once he starts actually rolling out new contracts and better conditions for the fighters.
You know what I'm saying? Then you can actually start coming out and doing these PR stunts, like sort out your employees first. And
Mm.
I think this alludes to the next point I want to bring up. Sorry, just I want to bring up this next conversation, which kind of ties into what you're saying here, right? Is it the PR stunt, or is it trying to introduce something that could potentially happen in the future? And Tetsuya, I'm not going to read this article because that's what I did earlier, but I'm going to go through what Tetsuya had said, right? I think it might be something we could discuss here. Tetsuya says on that post of Carlos, he goes, Charlton needs to hire Carlos' son. He's the best financial expert in the kickboxing industry. I'm sure he can help one find some new international broadcast deals and break into the Japanese market, being a Japanese guy, owning a Japanese organization. What do you make of that? If we do see a potential collaboration between one and K1, what would that look like? Do you have
Bro,
any,
I think
any
that would be epic, bro. I think that would be epic. You could even just like you could go roster for roster, bro. Go
yeah,
fighter for fighter and just have this K1 versus one championship epic Grand Prix type fight.
yes,
Bro, it would be crazy, bro. I think that would definitely sell. But I did see on X a few weeks ago, and again, I don't know what the relationship is with the
mm,
two bosses, but I did see Chowdhury referred to K1 and Rise and all of them as small organizations. So it's almost like
yes,
he's giving the impression that these organizations are below him,
yes. I
which
saw
I
that.
mean,
Yeah,
there might be because I do think one championship probably attracts more eyes. But at the same
globally.
time, if you consider the financial position, if all of
Mm,
what they're saying in the media is true, bruh, then you got to
mm,
start extending olive branches to people and trying to make deals and trying to keep
yeah,
this machine moving because. Again, it would be a shame to lose it, and
mm,
I mean, I don't think Mr. Chowdhury is too proud to collaborate, but again, what he did say was, I think it would be a last resort for him because he did say that he kind of considers these guys smaller organizations, so to speak, which I don't necessarily agree with. I mean,
Yeah.
K-1 is massive in
Yeah.
Japan, and I think that given the right exposure on the global stage, it could turn out to be something big for combat sports. And again, K-1 collaborating with one championship, but I take my money now. Take my
Sick
money
move.
now, bro.
It will be insane. I think I could be just trying to be a little bit diplomatic here, but I think I agree with you. I did find the statements of Chowdhury to be a little bit dickish. Like, you don't have to say those kind of things. But in the same breath, I think what he's trying to allude at is that K1 is massive in the Asian market, and Ryzen is big in Japan, right? But Ryzen also produces athletes that we have seen fight for titles in the UFC. JD Prohaska, Manal Cup has come there, Kaya Sakura. These guys have come on into the from Ryzen and fighting basically top 5 contendership fights, right? So, which means they do produce fighters outside of Japan as well. They have international influence. So that's where I'm like, Chowdhury's statement was a bit low, but one championship does have a global look that the other two don't have, unfortunately. And I think that's what he was trying to do. That, but in a nutshell, I'm with you. I think both organizations don't look good at the moment. The one's battling with fighter contracts and it's not looking good at all, while the other one is struggling with money. And what's the best thing to do? Excuse me. It sounds like Carlos Kikuta is he's extending the olive branch. He's like saying perseverance is king. You know what I mean? Like, you can stick it through and open up communication. Maybe something could come of it. And I think that a Grand Prix between the two companies would sell, especially one championship is in desperate need of finding kickboxers and Muay Thai practitioners heavier than featherweight, heavier than lightweight. Excuse me.
Yo,
But
absolutely, bro.
they
Absolutely.
spots. Whereas in
Yeah.
K1 has got guys fighting in so many different weight divisions. It's not just your basic weights or 5 or 8 weight divisions. They got so many weight divisions. There's super weights of each of them. So there's a lot. That means you can really fill up one championship's bigger roster. You know what I mean? The last time
Yeah,
Roman
bro.
Kriklia fought, they were crying out to go and do a Grand Prix in K1 to find a heavyweight boxer to take him on. So I think do a
Yeah.
Grand Prix with the two organizations. Both of them will make a lot of money off a Grand Prix for sure. And then we also get to see athletes compete where, at the end of the day, we could maybe do a conversation of, let's start doing transfers. Who do you want from us, and who do we want from you? And we can maybe do that friendly transfer between the two guys, between the two organizations. So I do
I
think
mean,
it's a
even
good idea.
loan deals, bro. Like you loan a
Even though,
fighter for one event, you know what I mean? That kind of
yeah,
thing. Because, like you said, like we've been saying, the financials don't look great. So you got to start
mm,
thinking outside the box now, boys.
yeah,
We can't keep being like we both islands here, and we're both gonna like, if I go down, it's fine. If you go down, it's fine.
yeah,
Let's collaborate, bro. Let's keep it going for the love of combat sports here. And I'm sure
exactly.
if you asked any fans, they wouldn't have a problem with any collaboration. It's not like
And they would pay
because
for
I
it.
watch one, yeah, because I watch one championship, I'm not gonna watch
Yeah.
Ryzen. Because I watch Ryzen, I'm not gonna. There's no like beef from a
No,
fan's
no, no,
perspective. You know what I mean? We just want to
no.
see the best fights, and I think the
Facts.
collaboration would be exactly that. We get to see the best
Yeah.
fights like you said, in all the weight divisions. I mean, fuck, bro. Like I said, bro, I've never seen a heavyweight Muay Thai fight before. Roman Kriklia fought that other man, Lyndon Donovan,
Lyndon Knowles.
whatever his name was. Yeah. So yeah, bro, King Kunta. We're gonna have to name it.
Someone get his name wrong, bro. I know. I just told myself, don't say Kinkuta. And it just rolls off the tongue like that. Anyway, so Eddie, let's just go to our last stories. But ladies and gentlemen, thank you for tuning in. If you are tuning in, and uh, let us know your thoughts on what this topic of discussion we're talking about between the K1 and One Championship. But we're gonna move on to the next conversation. While I correct this ticket tape, spelling Takeru's name wrong here. Takeru made this post, AD, on his X and on his Instagram account about just looking super ready and super jacked. And I saw some of his training videos as well with his coach, and he's looking very much locked in. It reads that he has, I've gotten close to my fight weight. The comeback match in November that I absolutely cannot lose, which means he probably has an opponent already. To move with the same feeling as the fight, I'm preparing for the US training camp. So he's probably going to do an extra extension to his camp in the US, which means he's locked in, right? Can you give
Yeah.
us your thoughts on that statement before I bring up who we think he might be fighting next?
Yeah, I mean, obviously stoked that because I mean, it wasn't that long ago that we were talking about Takeru possibly retiring. So I'm glad that it's like official. The man's back in camp.
Mm.
He's got a fight booked, and he's definitely in for it, as you can see. But the question is, what weight is the fight weight? You know what I mean? What is the
Mhm.
weight that he's cutting down to? Because that, of course, will kind of suggest who his next opponent could be. But yeah, I'm just super hyped, bruh. Again, like we always say on the show, bruh, and anyone who's been watching it will know, Takeru for us is royalty at Fighting with
Yeah.
Friends, and he's one of our favorites here. So I'm just super hyped to see the man get back in the ring. I think he's got a bit of chip on his shoulder, especially considering what happened in his last fight against Rodtang. Injury, no injury, whatever. But yeah, the man's got a point to prove now, so I'm super hyped to see him come back, Brian. Just hoping that
Mm.
he can get back to winning ways, putting on a show, and that he gets a decent opponent. But I see a few names there that I'd be like, nah, no way. You know what I
Yeah.
mean? Because we
True.
got Taiki Naito there. I was like, nah, Jan
Whoa,
Ghazali,
sorry.
nah.
Where did that go to
You know,
now? Oh, here we go.
but yeah, I mean, I think the people know who the possible options are. So yeah, there are many possibilities. They're all
Mhm.
gonna sell. But I just hope that it's one that the fans want to see because again, we were talking about him retiring not too long ago, so that would suggest that he doesn't have many more fights to go. So yeah, we've got to make each one of his fights count now, and I hope Mr. Chowdhury appreciates that fact and does the right thing and puts on one that because he usually does the right thing and he usually gives the fans what they want. So I'm hoping that he just kind of follows that trend.
So ideally for yourself, as a big fan, right? You buy the ticket, you take the ride. Who do you want to see him fight?
Oof. So it depends on the weight again.
I think it's going
I
to be
don't know,
flyweight.
bro.
He doesn't fight outside of
Yeah,
that
I
weight
mean, if he's
often.
gonna cut
Height
down to
is eight.
strawweight,
Yeah,
yeah. You think he can make strawweight?
I don't think so. I don't think Takeru at 33 years old is willing to go down. I think he's found his flyweight. That's his weight. He's naturally that's where his power is at.
Mm.
I think he's going to stay there.
Yeah, I mean, because I was asking
I think
because I
Slow it's
was
a bit
thinking
too much for him.
JDB because JDB doesn't
Yes,
have a
I've
fight
got the
and
feeling it
JDB
might be.
hasn't had a fight for a long time now, bro. So I mean, JDB at
Yeah,
flyweight maybe, but I mean JDB is the interim strawweight champion, bro. So he needs to
yeah,
kind of defend that belt or unify that belt. But you may know the story
mm,
with our
mm,
boy Prajan Chai.
yeah,
So yeah, it's for me. I want to see JDB. But look, the Rodtang rematch is. I mean, I think that's obvious, bro, because
mm,
there was a lot of murky circumstances surrounding the result in that fight.
yeah,
The injuries leading into the fight. The fight was very short, so we didn't really get to see.
mm,
It didn't really prove that much, man. Like we always talk
yes,
about, you get these flash knockouts. It's spectacular, it's whatever, but we only really get to know the true story once we see the fight go over three
good fight.
rounds, 3 to 5
Yeah,
rounds, right? So
yeah,
I'd like to see those guys throw down again. Personally, I'd like to see them run it back. I'd like to see
absolutely.
Rodtang Takeru too, bruh. That's my pick. If it's not going to be JDP, it's going to be Rodtang for me.
So
Um, yeah, because Yuki Yosa is likely going to fight Jonathan Agati, so
yeah,
yeah,
yeah, we got
I
that.
think that fight kind of sorts itself out. Because who else is Rodtang going to fight if he doesn't fight Takeru?
You can fight Nong O for the for the undisputed flyweight Muay Thai title.
I
It's still a
suppose that's
vacant
fair.
title.
Yeah.
And Rodtang is doing Rodtang Nongo has done a lot to get himself into this position. He left the division where he was the champion for so long, competing
Mm,
the new guys there, made a weight cut, took on the top contenders in this division, beat Kong Torani. You know what I mean? Like he's almost 40,
yeah,
so it's like you want to make this guy fight for nothing? All that work
yeah,
now just to not get a title shot against the guy that's a vacant title, by the way. So I
yeah,
would say they'll
yeah.
probably do that fight. And I've been looking at some of the group chats on social media under One Championship, and especially on Instagram. And I'm noticing a name, and that's probably why we see his name on the list here, and that's Dennis Puric. Because I did talk to
Mm,
Tetsuya earlier in the year about Takeru's comeback and what should Takeru get. And I was saying a tune-up, a tune-up. Give him someone that is good, but he's likely to beat this fighter. And then you can give him. Then you can get with confidence go fight Rodtang again as his last fight of his career. And that's probably why we've seen Dennis Pilic. It's not going to be Zhang Paiman, won't be Jojo Ghazali. Those guys are strictly multi practitioners. I mean, Zhang Paiman, he fights strawweight kickboxing. He doesn't fight flyweight kickboxing, right? He's in JDB's. They fought before. That's where he's at. Like United's there because of the call out that he made, right? So now they put his name there. But I think realistically, they're going to give him Dennis Puric. The old guy versus an old
yeah,
guy. It's a tune up fight for Takeru in Japan. If he wins that fight,
yeah,
Japan will go crazy. Get your money's worth. Then you can sell the second fight against Rodtang.
Yeah,
That's what I think
yeah.
is going to happen. Even though I want the Rodtang match, to be honest with you, I think they're probably going to do that for the business move.
I mean, mind you though, bruh, if Petchanong beats Yuki Oza next week, then the Jonathan Haggerty fight is there, bruh, for
Okay.
Takeru. You know what I mean? And the Jonathan Haggerty fight is there.
Oof, I don't know. I
So,
think Jag might have a difficult time making that weight. He's so proud of being bantamweight, and he loves it. I think he only would like to come down to flyweight if he would take Rodtang on again. I think that's the only
yeah,
person.
I mean, yeah, I mean, I can understand that, but at the end of the day, bruh, I mean, it's a massive event and money talks, so
Mm.
I don't know. Takero's comfortable here at flyweight. I
Easier.
don't really know if he's gonna want to go up to meet Jonathan Haggerty at bantamweight. So I'd love to see the fight. That's all I'm saying.
Me
I'd
too.
love to see the two of them throw down. But yeah, at the end of the day, all roads lead to Rodtang Takeru 2 for me, bruh.
That's the one to. Yeah, me also. It's going to end up there eventually. And I've got a feeling it's going to be sold as the same way they're doing Dustin Poirier and Max Holloway. It will be like the last dance with
Last
Takeru.
dance. Yeah.
You know what
Yeah,
I mean?
yeah,
And
yeah.
who's better than the guy who beat him in a significant fashion than Rodtang? So it's going to lead to that eventually. But okay,
For sure.
80, that was the last of our stories, bro. Anything you want to
Thank
say
you,
before we
VG.
close off nicely?
As always, just thank you very much for watching, everybody. Like and subscribe, and yeah, keep a lookout for the big things we got coming. If you aren't a member yet, you should strongly consider that. We got some big things coming. Big things are going, as they say in the streets these days. PG.
Yeah, no, of course, Eddie's on the money with that. I'm not gonna elaborate too much right now. I'm just gonna surprise the audiences. You know what I'm saying? They're gonna realize, oh, what is this? Where did this come from? So stay tuned, but keep supporting, keep liking, keep sharing. We appreciate all of it, and yeah, you'll catch us on the next one. Gonna be a good week. Definitely gonna be a good week. Eddie, I'm gonna just rock the thank you message because I can't unfortunately play an outro track here. So it's just gonna be music and a big thank you to everybody.